Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Jack Tater here, 2001 here, and I am back with a big video. So, this is a huge video for me, and some of you may know with all the stuff in the background during some of my videos, and some of the stuff in my videos in the background is my CD collection. So, I would like to go to my CD collection. So part one is just one disc per album. Then the second part is 2 discs or more, which is coming soon. They're back there in the background. So let's get into it. This is going to be in ABC order. So let's start off with Dream Theater's Awake album. Now, I bought this on eBay along with the other Dream Theater albums. I am a fan of Dream Theater because I like the drummer, I like the guitarist, Mike Portnoy and John Petrucci. Yeah, there are some highlights on this album. 6 O'Clock, Calling the Web, Voices, The Mirror, Lie, and Space Dive Fest. And this is a pretty solid album if you're a Dream Theater fan like I am. I've listened to it, I thought it was really good. And then next up is A Change of Seasons. This is a EP Dream Theater album which features the song A Change of Seasons. Then it features a whole bunch of cover songs live. What's really interesting about this album is that when the band recorded their second album, Images and Words, they were hoping to include A Change of Seasons as, a second disc, but the recording company did not accept this, so they had to put A Change of Seasons in a separate album, let's say. And then next up is Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory. Now, I have to say this is probably a comeback album per se for Dream Theater, since the previous one, which was Falling into Infinity, which was a bust because they're trying to make a more commercial type of band, which they did not accept. So they moved it to another record company, Elektra Records at the time. And so they finally had the freedom and they made this one. So some of the highlights are Overture 1928, Strange Deja Vu, Fatal Tragedy, Beyond This Life, Home, The Dance of Eternity, The Spirit Carries On, and Finally Free. This is probably the best Dream Theater album I have. Honestly, I'm glad I was able to have it, since it's a terrific album if you're a prog metal fan like I am. So next up, it is Train of Thought. Another Dream Theater album from 2003. This was after the band has done Iron Maiden and Metallica covers. They thought they would make their own heavy metal album. Apparently, this is more heavy than the others, which it should. I mean, there are some good songs on this one. As I Am, Streams of Consequences, Endless Sacrifice, Honor Thy Father, and In the Name of God. I have to say, the last one is probably the best in this album. I mean, there's more heavy metal than prog on that album, but it's a good album regardless. Then next up is Dream Theater's A Dramatic Turn of Events. And this one features a DVD which features all sorts of drummers who auditioned for the band after Mike Portnoy left, and this is the very first album after Portnoy left, and with Mike Mangini as their drummer, who was the drummer from 2011 to 2023. And I have to say, this is very much a good album, despite the fact this is just Images and Words 2, if you would say. And there are some good songs on this one, On the Backs of Angels, Build Me Up, Break Me Down, Bridges in the Sky, and Breaking All Illusions. This is very much the second coming of Images and Words, but it is a good album, especially with the melodies and riffs on the album. Then next up, A View from the Top of the World. So this is Dream Theater's most recent album, And this is the last album with Mike Mangini, the drummer, before he left the band, with Portnoy coming back. Honestly, I'm very excited for Portnoy coming back because I'm hoping to see them live one day. Oh yeah, this is another good album, and I'm just glad they have a 10+ minute song. Again, with the last one, but there are some good ones. The Alien, which won a Grammy for Best Metal Performance back in 2022, which is the very first Grammy Award. So they had 2 Grammy Awards before in 2011, or they had 2 Grammy Award nominations before in 2012, and I believe in 2014, and they finally won one. Yeah, again, again, I said the highlights: The Alien, Invisible Monster, Transcending Time, Awaken the Master, and the last one, A View from the Top of the World, which is 20.5 minutes long. But yeah, I like this album, and I'm pretty sad that Mike Mangini had left, but I'm pretty sure that some of us are glad that Portnoy is back. But yeah, kudos to Mangini keeping the band alive. And I got a few Iron Maiden albums. So I'd like to get to Iron Maiden. So the first one up, Iron Maiden's Peace of Mind. So this is the very first album with drummer Nicko McBrain, as the previous drummer Clive Burr had left, or he was fired. I don't know. I don't know the whole story, but I mean, I first saw Iron Maiden live back in 2022 when I was in Worcester, Massachusetts. I thought they were really good, and I'll never forget that night. So I became a fan of this band ever since the new album came out, which was back in 2021. So this is a gem, especially back in the old Iron Maiden days. Where Eagles Dare, Revelations, The Flight of Icarus, Die With Your Boots On, The Trooper. I mean, the first 5 songs are great, but the other half is like, mostly, a mix of good and bad. That's still a good album regardless. And next up is Iron Maiden's Somewhere in Time. Now about this album, I believe it was back in 2021. I decided to get an Iron Maiden album myself after I got a whole bunch of Christmas money. So yeah, I decided to get Somewhere in Time, and another album which I will be showcasing hopefully in the next video of my CD collection. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know, maybe I should do a DVD collection. I'm probably going to do a poll later to say, hey, should I do a DVD collection? And I should probably do that after this video. So yeah, there are some good songs on this one. There was Caught Somewhere in Time, Wasted Years, Sea of Madness, Heaven Can Wait, Stranger in a Strange Land, and Alexander the Great. And apparently Iron Maiden is touring with this album and Senjutsu, the other album that I bought, which is going to be the next part of my CD collection. They're doing a tour of those 2 albums together since 2023. I mean, I've seen them before, and I had a great time. That's the night I'll never forgive, and I wish I can go back to that night over and over, just to relive. Just to relive that great night. So anyway, the next stop is the modern Iron Maiden era. It is Brave New World. And this is the very first album for Iron Maiden as a 6-piece band after Iron Maiden brought back Bruce and Adrian Smith to the band. They decided to keep Yannick, who was the 3rd guitarist of the band. So instead of a 5-piece band, which is a typical like 2 guitarists, a bassist, a drummer, and a singer, it's a 6-piece band with 3 guitarists, a singer, a drummer, and a bassist. I mean, it's very weird, but I don't know why. When I saw it live, when they were a 6-piece band with 3 guitarists, I think it works out. But there are some good ones in there: The Wicker Man, Ghost of the Navigator, Brave New World, Blood Brothers, Out of the Silent Planet. This is a good album if you want to listen to if you're a metal fan like me. So the only album from John Petrucci is Terminal Velocity. This one here, I mean, he recorded this in the COVID days. Back in 2020, back in springtime, he recorded this during the shutdowns of 2020. I mean, it was really rough for a lot of people, including me. I'm surprised he did this in the pandemic. I mean, there are some good ones. I mean, Terminal Velocity, The Happy Song, Gemini, Flat-Size Zombies, and Snake in My Boot. I mean, this is a very good, this is a pretty decent album, I would say, especially for some Dream Theater fans. And the next one up, it is Liquid Tension Experiment. This is the first album. This is John Petrucci and Mike Portnoy, and that was before Jordan Rudess joined the band, and 2011 was the basis for Liquid Tension Experiment. But yeah, this is the remastered version, which came out a few years ago. Oh yeah, this is a pretty good album, I would say. There is Paradigm Shift, or I don't know how to say it. The Stretch, Freedom of Speech, Chris and Kevin's Excellent Adventure, Universal Mind, and 3-Minute Warning, which it is 28.5 minutes long. And if you can't read it, it says, caution, 3-minute warning is not for the musically faint-hearted, impatient, or critics of extreme self-indulgence. If you fall into any of the above categories, please hit the stop button on your CD player after track 8. Because the song is 28.5 minutes long, is very much just them jamming. Not for the end of the song. So next one up is the Metallica section, which I do have a good chunk of Metallica. Like I have a good chunk of Dream Theater. So this one up is Metallica's Ride the Lightning. This is the Elektra release. I got this on used back in 2017, and I have to say it was in good condition. The CD case, not so much, but the CD was in great condition. I'm so glad I was able to have this. The good songs on there are Fight Fire with Fire, Ride the Lightning, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Fade to Black, and Creeping Death. Well, also the Call of Cthulhu. Yeah, this is a fantastic album. This was the golden age of Metallica. This album was definitely the golden age of metal and Metallica. I mean, I have to say the new stuff is okay, but you can't beat the old stuff, you know. So anyway, next up is Load. I mean, this was the not so great Metallica era. They were basically more trying to go, you know, experimental, like rock. They're trying to go for a rock direction. But honestly, you know, there are a few good songs on there. Until It Sleeps, King Nothing, Hero of the Day, Bleeding Me, and The Outlaw Torn. Those are some of the good songs I would say on there. And then next up is the sequel to Load. It is Reload. I mean, this is kind of a better album because it has better songs on there. But I mean, it's very much the same as the previous one. But there are some good ones on there. Fuel, The Memory Remains, Devil Stands, The Unforgiven 2, and Fixer. What's interesting, they played Fixer back in 2021 with a touring for 40 years. That was the first time they ever played it live. Anyway, I thought it was a good song. Then next up, it is Death Magnetic. This was released in 2008, followed by Robert Trujillo, who joined the band during the recording of Saint Anger. So, if you do not know, there was a bonus DVD for Metallica Saint Anger, which features the band with Rob Trujillo playing the full album, and the quality of that DVD is somehow better than the St. Anger CD itself. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about Death Magnetic. I mean, the production of this album is terrible, I would say. It is not. The production wasn't really good, but if you listen to the versions from Guitar Hero Metallica, you simply have to realize that the quality of the songs on Guitar Hero Metallica are better, surprisingly, than the ones on CD. I mean, there are tons of versions on YouTube which you can find instead of listening to the CD, but I'm thankful to have this as a bought it for myself. This is the original Warner Bros. Records version of this album. And there are some good songs on there. Broken Beat is Scarred, The Day That Never Comes, Cyanide, or their latest instrumental was Suicide and Redemption. I mean, that's their latest instrumental song. I mean, I was hoping they'd make more, but that's probably never gonna happen. So next one up, it is the sequel to Death Magnetic, which is Beyond Magnetic. What was supposed to be the 4 songs that were originally going to go to the album, but they decided to cut these 4 songs and put them on a separate album. You know, there's just 4 songs on there. It's just an EP. Nothing too crazy about it. I mean, I guess there are some good songs on there. Oh, the only one I can think of is Hate Train. So next one up, it is Metallica's 72 Seasons. This is their recent album. I bought it back in springtime. I thought this was a good album when it first came out. I mean, I actually like the songs. I mean, there are some good ones on there. I mean, the album box is pretty strange, especially when you open up, but there are some good songs on there. I mean, there is 72 Seasons, You Must Burn, Lux Eterna, If Darkness Had a Sun, and the last song, Inamorata. I don't know how to say it, but the last song is 11 minutes long, which is the longest they ever recorded. I thought it was the best one they made. So hey, it's a good album regardless. I mean, this is their best produced album they ever made. So I'm glad to have that. And I have a few more coming up. So I have a few more. Let's get into the last 3. So the next up is Rush Signals. I mean, this is one of the albums that I got back in 2020. I mean, my father loves Rush. He loves Rush. He loves Rush than me and my brother. So yeah, there are some good songs on this one too. Subdivisions, Digital Man, The Weapon, and Countdown. And those are the few good songs on there. And I also like Rush. I mean, 3 musicians. What can go wrong? And you'll have a successful long career. And next one up is Rush's Roll the Bones, which was part of their the hard rock era, basically the 90s. I mean, this is also a good album. Let's say not the best, but it's still a good album. I bought this at FYE when I got this. Yeah, there are a few good songs, of course. Streamline, Roll the Bones, Ghost of a Chance, and You Bet Your Life. Those are some of the good songs on there, I would say to myself. I would like to listen more of this. And last but not least, the final album of the first part is Van Halen's 5150. So, David Lee Roth, who was the singer for the golden days of Van Halen, left, or I don't know what happened to him. I don't know the whole story. I don't know if he was fired or if he decided to leave. But Van Halen hired Sammy Hagar for let's say a decade, I would say. I mean, The Sammy Hagar era is not the best, but at least he was the one who tried to keep Van Halen alive. Well, there are good ones on there. There is Good Enough. Why Can't This Be Love? Get Up, Summer Nights, and Love Walks In. And there's the title track itself, 5150. So, there you have it. So, I've done the first part of my CD collection series, and I'm hoping to do part 2. And it's going to feature double disc albums. So stay tuned for that. So, that's all I have to say for this video. This is Jack Danaher 2001 here saying thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.